What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we are going over Tech Tuesday. If you're not sure what this is where we take the deck of the week, analyze some techs, and talk about some ways where we can make it better or possibly, play some cards that could make your matchup better going into the deck of the week. This week we did talk about Chien-Pao EX paired with Baxcalibur, the brand new Blastoise Keldeo mechanic. So we're going to be looking at 5 cards that I think could safely be played within certain lists in order to kind of better the matchup. So we'll get right into it. I'm going to talk about 5 cards first that you can play in order to improve your matchup, and then I'll talk about 5 to 6 cards that you can play in order to, improve your Chien-Pao list if people start playing these cards. So the first card, Path to the Peak. We all know what Path to the Peak does. It's been in format for a while now. Path Judge, it's a problem. But with Path to the Peak, Pokemon with Roblox in play have no abilities, so this doesn't shut off Baxcalibur, but this does shut off a main portion of what Baxcalibur wants to do as a deck, and that is search for energy. Most lists don't play heavy energy counts because they can rely on searching for energy with things like Chien-Pao, and so when you play Path, it means that they can't search energy, they can't discard cards in order to draw off of Greninja. So that means that the energy that's in their hand, they're going to have to choose between saving for attachment or finding a way to remove Path and then dumping the energy. So it makes it difficult for them to work around it. And it even shuts off Palkia, meaning that Palkia doesn't have its V-Star. So it can't just accelerate 3 energy out of nowhere, providing an extra 180 damage. It's a really solid card. So if you're looking for some ways to kind of improve your matchup, I would suggest playing these. Depending on how it goes, you could even play it in the Chien-Pao list. Now, I don't have it on here, but I will say that if you wanted to just kind of have a sneaky tech, you could try to have, everything powered up and then play Path, do a big swing, and then your opponent's kind of left defenseless. But again, that just really depends on the board state. I wouldn't recommend it, but it is something you could try if you wanted to try to improve the mirror. The next card, Manaphy. Manaphy is just really good because it stops Greninja from being able to constantly swing. Most decks that run Greninja right now don't really have a way to consistently swing with Greninja, but due to the nature of Baxcalibur and providing water energy, it means that you can continuously swing with Greninja on and off as many times as you want to. And so Manaphy kind of helps you with that leeway, so that way they're not taking between 1 and 4 prizes in, one turn, depending on what they're knocking out. Next card, Old Cemetery. Whenever a player attaches an energy from their hand to a non-psychic type Pokemon, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. You can run this in really any deck. And in things like Arceus, where you're only attaching, 1 to 2 energy, you're going to put, maybe between 4 and 6 damage counters on your own Arceus and then power it up. But with Old Cemetery, it means that if they do use Baxcalibur, anytime they attach a water energy, they have to take, 2 damage. And this can really add up and really apply pressure. So it's a very good card to actually kind of think about. During the time in which Blastoise Keldeo was a thing, there was a stadium called Frozen City, and Frozen City was very difficult for Blastoise to deal with because it did the same thing as Old Cemetery. So I would highly recommend, looking into this, seeing how you kind of want to play it and how you want to pilot it. It's overall, though, a really good card. The next card, it's not as critical, but Mimikyu does shut off the main attacking portion of the Baxcalibur list that most people are playing. When you have Mimikyu in the active, it means that they have to swing with Greninja or they have to swing with Baxcalibur. And if they choose to swing with Baxcalibur, if they only have one set up, they're putting themselves at a very risky position of you KOing the Baxcalibur. And so it kind of provides that safety net of making sure that they have to change up their game plan. And if they do KO the Mimikyu, they're only taking 1 prize, which can kind of put their prize trade in the awkward favor. Now, the last card I do want to talk about is Skarmory. Now, when it comes to Skarmory, this card is a really cool idea in things like Lugia. There's not really many other decks that could benefit from it. If you're playing Lugia with Duraludon and you're using the Rainbow Energy, the Impact Energy, for single strike Pokemon, you can actually use Slicing Blade and hit 220 damage on a Chien-Pao, so you take 2 prizes and then trade it for 1. So overall, it's a really solid card. It doesn't really work in any other decks. If it had 2 colorless attack and then 1 metal, it would probably be better, but as far as this goes, this is probably going to be your best bet to play in Lugia if you want to try to improve the matchup. Otherwise, it's not going to see as much play. But these are the cards that, I really think you can play in order to improve your matchup. Now, they're not guaranteed 100%, but at the same time, they definitely do provide enough context to make things work. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is the cards that you can actually play within your Baxcalibur list if people start playing these counter cards. So the first 2 cards kind of go together. It's Lost Vacuum and Skater's Park. With Lost Vacuum, it just lets you get rid of things like the annoying Path to the Peak, or really anything that, might be in play that's a tool. It really helps to kind of mitigate those things. And it is searchable off of Irida, and it is also searchable off of Mew if you play Mew and stuff. So it pretty much gives you an out all the time if you need one, with 4 Irida in the list. So the next card, Skater's Park, it just is a counter stadium, but it is nice because if your opponent decides to boss up something that has no energy, and you really don't want to, waste the energy to retreat, you can play the Skater's Park, and then once you retreat, you put the energy back into your hand, and then you can just reattach it anywhere. So it's a pretty solid card, and it's a good counter stadium if you're looking to provide yourself with counter stadium potential. So the next card is Mew. Now, Mew can use Mysterious Tail. If you are under Pathlock, this could give you a good out in order to possibly find a rare candy, just in case you can't use things like Lumineon for Irida. So pretty solid. And with Mew, it is a good pivot. If you get knocked out, you can bring up the Mew, use Mysterious Tail, look at the top 6, grab an item you might need like Superior Energy Retrieval if you don't have a supporter in your hand to find one. And then it's just a 1 energy retreat. So it's not that hard to commit. The next card, Canceling Clone. Canceling Clone is mainly just for the issues in where your opponent is running Manaphy. Most lists do play Cross Switcher or Boss or both. So you can boss and Cross Switcher into the Manaphy, use Canceling Clone, and still possibly take 2 prizes with the Greninja. So it's a really solid card if you're looking to, mess around with it. The next card, Jet Energy. Jet Energy provides a lot of benefit when it comes to Baxcalibur. If you have a Chien-Pao in the active, you can use its ability, search for 2 energy, and then attach a Jet Energy to the bench Chien-Pao, so bring it to the active, search for 2 more energy, so it just brings up a lot of acceleration. And also, with something like Greninja on the bench, you can actually improve the synergy a lot, as you can use Chien-Pao in the active, search for 2 energy, and then attach a Jet Energy to the Greninja, bring it to the active, attach the 2 waters, and then do your 90-90 split, so you don't have to worry about retreating. So it kind of makes things pivot off of each other really nicely, and it adds a lot of consistency. And the next card being Stormy V. Stormy V is just good in case, people start using the annoying cards like Arceus and a million other things. With Stormy V, you can potentially hit into Arceus for 300 damage if they have 6 energy in play for just 2 energy, so it's not as big of a commitment. Plus, if people start using something like Old Cemetery or Skarmory, you don't have to put as much pressure on yourself. Starmie isn't weak to metal, which means that it's not going to be one shot by the Skarmory, and then with the Old Cemetery, you're only attaching 2 energy instead of, a million energy, so you're able to survive longer. So these are really some cards that you can possibly play if people start playing those counter cards, but otherwise I think the lists are going good. But as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's What to Buy Wednesday.